So today what we're going to do is continue with our list of people who are important to us. Sometimes in our writer's notebooks we write something and then we go back to it later and we notice, oh yeah, I forgot to add this story, or I forgot to add this person. So I want you to spend a couple of minutes today looking at your list of people and your stories from yesterday, and if you need to, add some more people or some more stories to it. So take a couple of minutes and do that right now. Okay, so maybe you've paused the YouTube video for a couple of minutes and added to your list any additional people or stories that you needed to. Now you should have a nice big page full of people and stories that you can share at any particular time. What I want you to do now is to go through your list of people and the little stories that you wrote notes to yourself about, and I want you to pick one of these stories, one of these little stories that you decide that you just wanna write about today. Just pick one, okay? What needs to happen though with this particular story is that it needs to be one that you remember really well and that you personally experienced. This can't be a story that somebody told to you, or maybe it happened to you so long ago, or you were so little when it happened that you don't personally remember any of the details. Okay? So once you've chosen that one story from your list here, what I want you to do in your notebook is turn one of your pages so that you are, again, looking at a blank page in your writer's notebook. And remember, we're going to write in pen, and we also need to make sure that we put a date at the top of each one of our pages. So today's date is 8/30/17, and we're going to give this one a title. And the way that I would title this is put that person's name that you're going to write about, and then also put your little note that reminded you of that story. Okay? So mine, I've already started one, and mine I think is going to be called Penelope and Cough Drops. Okay? That's going to be my story. The next thing that you're going to do is you are going to make a list. Just make a list. Don't start writing your story out yet. Just make a list of all the details that you remember from your story. So you're making a list of the details of your story. So when did this story happen? Who was involved? What was the weather like that day? All of these things need to be details that are important to your story. So I would like for you to pause this video and start writing out some details that are important to the story. So, for example, in my story of Pepper and the Cough Drops, it's important to know that Penelope was 2 years old. Let's see, I've already messed up. Penelope, L-O-P-E, was 2 at the time this story happened. She also, one of the things she really loved, baby dolls. So all of these things are things that are going to be important for me to tell in my story. So I want you to pause this video and take about 5 minutes to list all of the details that are important to your story. Okay, so now you have all your details. You have your list of details that are important to your story. And the next thing that I need for you to do is to look down through that list of details, and I want you to imagine or even find someone to tell your story to. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do is look down through your details and tell your story out loud to someone. Okay, so all you're doing is taking your list of details and tell your story to someone. Even if it's a stuffed animal, even if it's your pet, tell this story out loud to someone. Okay, so go ahead and pause this video one more time and tell your story out loud. Okay, now that you have told your story out loud, I want you to go back and look at your list of details that you wrote down, and I want you to think about, is there anything, when I told that story out loud, is there anything that I said out loud that I didn't include on this list? And if there are any things like that, any details that you said out loud but you forgot to put on this page, go ahead and write those details out and actually put them on your page now. Next, what you are going to do is you are actually going to start writing your story. Okay? The way that you're going to do this is I want you to turn one more page. Okay, so you have your list of details here. I want you to turn another page. And again, at the top of this, you're going to put today's date. And I want you to start writing this story. And here's the thing. When you're staring at a blank page, it can be really difficult to start a story because that blank page is a little bit intimidating. So what you're going to do is start your story badly, okay? And now that may seem sort of silly to say, but it's true. You're going to, as you go through your story, the most difficult thing is to start it. And as you write your story, you'll think of a better beginning than the one that you originally wrote. Because guess what? This is a rough draft. This does not have to be perfect from the very first word. Authors that are published, that have novels out there, they go through and they edit their stories all the time. So I don't want you to think that you need to start off with something that's going to be amazing. When you told your story out loud, what did you start with? What did you start with then? You know what? I've heard a lot of people start their stories with, okay, so, and then when they're speaking, when they're telling the story. So I want you to start your story badly. Start it with, okay, so, or start it with, there was this one time when, because you'll think of something better later on, okay? Just get started. Just get it down on paper, okay? So take a few minutes and write your story. You need to be able to come to class tomorrow with your rough draft completely done.